Um, Going back to that point about what's happening on this particular road where these photos are, like if we take a little walk down, what do you think? You know, because you're saying the area's changing, so I was just interested in what you thought, particularly looking at this road, Phoenix Road in particular. Quite a lot has happened on this road.
Yeah, so I mean, the loss of St Aloysius, because that's St Aloysius, isn't it? Isn't it the old St Aloysius?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. And Mom's Club, sort of the loss of, community involvement.
But I suppose this road is physically changed, isn't it? This is gone, this building.
Yeah.
That building.
Yeah.
Can you remember what buildings were here?
Sure. I mean, when I was at school, obviously, old Polygon buildings, which were just extraordinary, really. Because, as everyone says, they bathrooms at the end of the landing and so on and so forth. Built for an earlier generation when, having a bathroom inside your flat wasn't just kind of, just a necessity. It wasn't just expected, So, I mean, built for, people who have had very low expectations. And people who lived in those flats will always say, and I wouldn't want to gainsay them, but quality of life, quality of community was very high indeed. I mean, I like these. I think these are a worthy replacement. I think it's a very fine example, again, of late council housing at a time when they were allowed to build. I think this is a very high quality development. So I'm sure, we could sentimentalise old Polygon buildings, but I'm sure these are easier to live in. I'm sure they're warmer, more comfortable, a nicer place to raise your family. So I don't think we can get too carried away by nostalgia, because I mean, I totally accept that. It was obviously old Polygon buildings probably had a great sense of community and probably was a great place to live. But I'm sure this is an easier place to live.
Yeah. But I guess they've knocked down the Aloysius convent, which was the link to, and the church, presumably. When did that go?
When the old church, old Aloysius. I'm not sure. I mean, current Aloysius must date back to the early 1970s. So I'd assume sometime in the late 60s they demolished the earlier version of St Aloysius.
Should we just walk along then?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know, you can say what you like, really. Oh, here's another one connected to you.
Yes, well, and these are Edith cottages, probably when they were relatively newly built. It's my grandmother, my grandfather, my Aunt Dolly, my Aunt Joyce, various of the kids. And in the window, election poster for our then MP, Lena Jager. So the 1950s, the start of the long boom. The period from the end of rationing till 1979, when the economy seemed to be going great guns, living standards were rising continuously, and you'd never had it so good.
Interesting, that post-war period, isn't it?
Yeah, increasingly sort of fascinated by it and turned to it these days, because it was an extraordinary period, a period of amazing achievement.
Yeah. I mean, there's a photo here you took, isn't there?
I'm holding the one I took, and there's I think I took the one of Sean Don and his missus.
Let's have a look at that one,
I took the one of them, but not the one that's underneath them.
Yeah, that's a festival one, that one.
Yeah. I took that one and that one.
Yeah. I've spoken to Joyce.
Sure, yeah.
Do you know, she was able to recognise everyone.
It is striking.
And there's a family connection
picture
in there.
Yeah, as I understand it, her mum was my grandmother's friend. Yeah.
And do you know which one is your aunt in that picture?
Well, that's my grandmother. That's Bella Speed. Should know all of them, really. yeah, yeah. There's definitely other people there that I should know. Yeah.
But there's your aunt in this, you know.
I think that's my aunt Eileen. Is that Eileen?
Pat.
Oh, is she? Right, sorry.
She said it was Pat Kelp.
Oh, right, okay.
That's your aunt, isn't it?
Yeah. Looks like, okay, you have to delete that bit. Looks like Eileen. Eileen was Pat's elder sister.
Oh, maybe it's Eileen.
No, it looks like, yeah, better verify that because I thought it was Eileen, but it could be Pat.
Well, I don't know, do I?
Okay, we can't broadcast this bit.
Don't worry, I'll cut it out. Oh, it's a lovely photo though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it says such a lot
Yeah,
about that
community
community.
spirit. Yeah.
And very female.
Yeah.
Well, they're all women, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean the women. You know, they had to be tough. I mean, life was very hard. You know, my grandmother lived through 2 world wars and a depression. You know, it's
Which one's your grandmother? So your family's been here a long time?
Yeah, probably, yeah, since the beginning, really. In the sense that since, at least since the 1920s, when they, when Father Jellicoe started building the St Pancras blocks. So it dates back to that period, really.
So there was a really, like, a stable community, wasn't there?
Yeah. And in the sort of automatic succession of, children to the flats, probably also changed the demographic, and may have been one of the reasons why, if there has been a decline in sort of community spirit, that might also be part of it.
Yeah. Do you know Shandon?
I photographed him. I know he's a musician. Yeah.
That's a festival scene.
Yeah.
You're always at the festival, aren't you?
Usually, yeah, more often than not. Yeah.
You've been photographing it for...
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if that's your photo, actually, John.
This one.
Yeah, the one that... This is Alan, who obviously used to
Alan
run
Parsons,
the
yeah,
festival.
yeah.
Sadly passed away, and this is the festival.
Could have been one of mine. I was certainly there that day, put it that way. So it may or may not be. I can't remember, to be
I
honest.
think that's Paisley.
This one?
I don't know if it's Paisley, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Steve would know, wouldn't he?
The lady in front?
Yeah.
Could be.
And that is the polygon that you were talking
That's the
about.
old polygon buildings. Yeah, 4 of them.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I spoke to a lady who used to live there, Florence, and somebody said, oh, they were slums, weren't they? And she was most offended.
I know.
She said, no, we kept them really clean.
That's right. People don't like to hear their childhood homes referred to as slums. And it's... I'm sure there was strong community spirit. But also, you've got to bear in mind how high the expectations were. I mean, it's quite regimented, really. I think if you if you're a tenant around here, in my grandmother's time, it was pretty much expected. You would, you'd clean the windows once a week. You'd polish up the red step and all the rest of it. You would just. It was kind of drummed into you. You pretty much had to keep those places in very good order. It was expected. Any departure from that, you'd come under, I think, a lot of peer pressure, a lot of social pressure. If your windows weren't cleaned and your step wasn't red, I think people would have given you a very hard time indeed, I've got to say.
What I find really nice about your family, that you still live here, and they pretty much, a lot of them still live here, don't they?
There are still a few around. I mean, growing up there were loads of us. Now it's a bit more scattered. You'd expect that.
So, what's gone now? Somebody's gone.
Oh no.
It's Vic.
No, Vic's. I'm sure Vic's still here. Vic's on the next one.
Oh, Vic's on the next one. So who's been taken? I think it's George.